Okay, so the World Cup, the biggest sports tournament we've ever witnessed, having produced some of the most memorable sports moments of all time. I'm a huge soccer fan, or as the rest of the world calls it, football, and the World Cup is probably one of my dopamine levels reach the highest. The 2022 World Cup in Qatar was one of controversy to say the least, but it produced some of the best games and exhilarating moments in World Cup history. Today we take a look at all 64 games that were played and rank them all. There's a lot to rank today, so if some games get less attention, that's why. Alright, let's go. Qatar 0, Ecuador 2. The first game of the World Cup surely was exciting. While the host nation was the underdog, I had hopes that they'd play decently and give Ecuador a run for their money. Instead, we had 11 guys running around like chickens with their heads cut off. Regardless, the atmosphere for the opening game was electric, and I personally enjoyed this game. Easy B tier ranking. Senegal 0, Netherlands 2. A pretty stale match for the first 80 minutes until Wonder Kid Gakpo's header and Klaasen's last minute goal, but still entertaining overall. B tier for this one. England 6, Iran 2, a game that we knew would have lots of goals, but 8? No one saw that coming. Pure domination from the three lines in this one, and a great show for any neutrals. A tier for this game. USA Wales, a game that we thought would be pretty exciting, seeing Gareth Bale's first World Cup game resulted in a stale 1-1 draw. Not too memorable, so C tier for this one. Argentina 1, Saudi Arabia 2, one of the wildest underdog stories in World Cup history. 2 quick goals in 4 minutes from the Green Falcons, including one of my favorite goals from the entire tournament, saw the whole world doubt Messi and co for a few days. Wild times. A tier match. Mexico 0, Poland 0. Still a match that I didn't even bother watching as I had very little hopes for both teams coming into this tournament. D tier, not memorable for me. Denmark 0, Tunisia 0. A very disappointing showing from a Danish side that I had high hopes for going into the tournament, but great resistance from the Tunisians. Overall not bad for a scoreless draw, C tier for this one. France 4, Australia 1. Absolute scenes when Goodwin scored the first goal for Australia, but a French masterclass ultimately prevailed. Still a wild game, easy A tier ranking. Germany 1, Japan 2, a heartbreaking match for me as a Germany supporter, but what a show from a surprising Japanese squad. I remember this one vividly for all the wrong reasons, but what a game. A tier for this match. Spain 7, Costa Rica 0, an absolute thrashing by an impressive Spanish squad. I watched this game in chemistry class and tried my hardest not to lose my mind after each goal. Instant classic, A tier for this game. Morocco 0, Croatia 0, another scoreless draw in a game that saw Morocco and Croatia stuck in a deadlock. Not the best, so C tier for this one. Belgium 1, Canada 0. Canada's first World Cup match in 36 years ended in heartbreak. A game full of missed opportunities and one impressive Belgian counterattack saw me and 39 million Canadians all bow our heads in disappointment. Still a rollercoaster of emotions though, so A tier for this one. Switzerland 1, Cameroon 0. Another boring game apart from an Mbolo goal. I barely remember this one. Probably didn't watch it because the early games were at 3 AM in the morning for me. D tier for this one. Brazil 2, Serbia 0. A wild game that saw the best goal of the tournament. This game was wildly entertaining as a struggling defensive Serbian side tried to withstand the unstoppable Brazilian attack. What a game, A tier for this one. Uruguay 0, South Korea 0. Another boring stalemate that I didn't watch. Disappointing for Uruguay who were the favorites here, but solid defense from Korea led to the draw. Still not very memorable, so D tier for this one. Portugal 3, Ghana 2, a very fun to watch game from a neutral perspective. It had goals, drama, action, and everything in between. From Ronaldo's goal to Bukhari copying Ronaldo's celebration to Portugal almost giving the game away at the last minute, this game truly had it all. A tier for this underrated gem. Qatar 1, Senegal 3, another fun to watch match. Seeing host Qatar score their first ever World Cup goal was awesome, but Senegal's possession and chance making was too much to handle. Pretty solid game though, B tier for this one. Netherlands 1, Ecuador 1, a pretty solid game between two relatively equal opponents. Gakpo's outside of the box shot was wild to see, and Valencia's equalizer was enough to keep the game level. Pretty fun but not very memorable, so C tier for this one. Wales 0, Iran 2, a pretty boring game until 2 late goals from the Iranian side, which was thrilling to watch. Overall, the game wasn't anything crazy for 89 minutes, so it'll settle for the C tier. England 0, USA 0, the most disappointing match of the tournament. Everyone, myself included, was prepared for a classic rematch from the 2010 World Cup, yet we got a stalemate unlike any other. My least favorite match of the tournament, F tier for this one. Poland 2, Saudi Arabia 0, a game that saw Saudi Arabia dominate almost every statistical category with 64% possession, but ultimately saw the Polish side hit 2 important goals from Zielinski and Lewandowski. Pretty solid match, it can go into the B tier. Argentina 2, Mexico 0. The make or break game for Messi and co saw them put on an impressive display of team football while a poor Mexican side had no way of responding. Good bounce back game for the Argentines, so B tier for this one. Tunisia 0, Australia 1. A back and forth game between two equally matched sides ultimately saw the Socceroos come out with a victory thanks to Duke's beautiful header. Not a special game apart from that, so C tier for this one. France 2, Denmark 1. A relatively boring game that saw the Danes put in another disappointing showing with a spectacular Mbappe brace. Nothing too special, so C tier for this one. Japan 0, Costa Rica 1. A deadlock tight match until the 81st minute when Costa Rica's Fuller's shot went off the Japanese goalkeeper's gloves to give them a 1-0 lead. Not very memorable apart from that, so C tier for this one. Spain won, Germany won. The most anticipated group stage match was a chess game from start to finish. Morata's goal was eventually cancelled out by a substitute full Cruz goal, putting me and all other Germany fans on the edge of our seats for what could be a repeat of the 2018 group stage. Still a decent game, so B tier for this one. Belgium 0, Morocco 2. Morocco's shock win against one of the tournament's favorites was a game to watch. Belgium controlled possession but was unable to convert, and goals from Saiss and Abu Kal were enough to give the Atlas Lions the win. Great game to watch, B tier for this one. Croatia 4, Canada 1. A game that hit home for me and the rest of the nation as Alphonso Davies scored Canada's first ever World Cup goal was a sight to see. However, a poor defensive showing from the Canadians led to 4 goals from a strong Croatian side and heartbreak for the nation. Still a great game though, so A tier for this one. Cameroon 3, Serbia 3. An absolutely wild game that saw Serbia score 2 goals in rapid succession, then choke a 3-1 lead with 2 quick goals from the Cameroon squad in the 63rd and 66th minute. Such a great game to watch as a neutral, so A tier for this one. Brazil 1, Switzerland 0. Nothing too crazy about this one, a relatively poor performance from the Brazilians for their standards. Casemiro's 83rd minute deflection was enough to seal the deal, but not a memorable match for me, so C tier for this one. South Korea 2, Ghana 3. A 2-0 first half lead for the Ghanaians was erased in 3 minutes by Cho Gyu-sung until a 68th minute goal by Kudus, his second of the match, would ultimately seal the deal for the African side. A wild game with 5 goals became an instant classic, so A tier for this match. Portugal 2, Uruguay 0. A brace from Fernandes was enough to secure the win for a Portuguese side that dominated the match from start to finish, with another poor performance from a disappointing Uruguayan side. Pretty solid match, so B tier for this one. Ecuador 1, Senegal 2. The match that would decide the runner-up of Group A saw a wild clash between 2 evenly matched teams. Senegal's captain Koulibaly was the final decider as his goal put the match away and put Senegal into the next round. Solid match, B tier for this one. Netherlands 2, Qatar 0. The match saw Gakpo score his 3rd goal in 3 games as the Dutch finished off the host nation with a fierce blow. A match that could have ended with 5 or 6 goals was ultimately a 2-goal snooze fest, so C tier for this one. Iran 0, USA 1. The most politically tense match of the tournament was also one of the most tense up to this point, as it was a win-or-go-home game for both sides. Ultimately, Christian Pulisic's 38th minute goal was enough to put the Stars and Stripes through to the next round. Again, nothing too crazy came from this one, so C tier for this match. Wales 0, England 3. A 3-goal thriller from goal scorers Rashford and Foden saw the 3 Lions send the Dragons home in embarrassing fashion for the Welsh side. A very entertaining match, so B tier for this one. Poland 0, Argentina 2. Another strong showing from Argentina with goals from McAllister and Alvarez were enough to secure Argentina's spot in the round of 16, while Poland had to wait for either to take it to the next round or their ticket home. Not a match I remember too fondly, so C tier for this one. Saudi Arabia 1, Mexico 2. A wild match from start to finish. The Mexican side thought they were through and moving on to the next round, until a last-minute goal from Al Desari sent Mexico packing and ending their streak of round of 16 qualification. A hard-fought battle with plenty of drama at the end. This match gets a B tier ranking. Australia 1, Denmark 0. An absolute masterclass by the Danish side had ultimately nothing to show for as Australia's Leckie scored the only goal of the match, sending Australia through and Denmark packing. A relatively chill match, it'll go into the C tier. Tunisia 1, France 0. A wild match to watch as a neutral and an even better match to watch if you were rooting against the French. This match was great and will be talked about for years in Tunisia, as it should. B tier for this one. Costa Rica 2, Germany 4. Easily the best match of the group stage, the 6-goal thriller had it all. For 3 whole minutes, Costa Rica had the lead against Germany, and at one point in time, a moment that will live on in history, Costa Rica and Japan were on their way from advancing to the knockout rounds. While my favorite team was ultimately eliminated from this match, repeating the disappointment of 2018, I will never forget this match and the roller coaster of emotions it took me on, alongside the entire country of Germany and Costa Rica. What a match, easily an S tier game. Japan 2, Spain 1. The other exhilarating match of Group E had almost as much drama as Costa Rica Germany did. I thought it would be smooth sailing for Spain, which would have allowed for them and Germany to move on, but 2 goals in 3 minutes from a very impressive Japanese side, including one of the most controversial goal calls I've ever seen, was enough to send Japan and Spain through at Germany's expense. A wild match for sure, S tier for this one as well. Canada 1, Morocco 2. Canada's last hope at their first ever points of the World Cup ultimately ended in defeat as a strong Moroccan side went on to top their group while Canada finished rock bottom. An exciting match to watch, it'll go into the B tier. Croatia 0, Belgium 0. I don't even remember this game happening, that's how stale it was. Belgium's disappointing World Cup comes to an end as Croatia moves on, ultimately ending Belgium's golden generation with nothing to show for it. D tier for this one. Cameroon 1, Brazil 0. The most unlikely scoreline of the entire World Cup saw Cameroon side beat the tournament favorites with a goal from Abu Bakar in the dying minutes of the match. Such a weird game, but such a fun one to look back on. B tier for this one. Serbia 2, Switzerland 3. A 4-goal first-half thriller had everything every neutral fan loves to see, until a 40th minute goal from Freuler ultimately sealed the deal for the Swiss, sending the Eagles crashing out of the tournament. A fun game from start to finish, B tier for this one. Ghana 0, Uruguay 2. The highly anticipated rematch of the 2010 quarterfinal matchup saw 2 first-half goals from Uruguay in a very even match between 2 impressive sides. Uruguay would have to wait for the result of the Portugal-South Korea match to learn their fate, which ultimately was the one they were not hoping for. Still a fun match to watch, B tier for this one. South Korea 2, Portugal 1. A wild match from start to finish had us all thinking Uruguay would beat out Korea for the second place spot in Group H, but an absolute beauty of a play by the Koreans, capped off with a Hwang Ki-chan goal, saw the soccer world erupt as Portugal and South Korea moved on to the next round. Great game to watch as a neutral, easy A tier for this one. With the 48 group stage matches out of the way, we are now into the best part of the World Cup, the knockout rounds. Let's start with the round of 16. Netherlands 3, USA 1, a match that saw the United States play their best football of the tournament but ultimately get outplayed by a stronger Dutch side who capped off the night with 3 goals from 3 different goal scorers. USA's hopes of winning it all came crashing down as this mighty Dutch side moved on to the quarterfinals. Easy B tier for this one. Argentina 2, Australia 1, an absolute masterclass of a match that had me glued to my seat for 90 minutes. Australia put up quite the fight with an almost legendary run from Bayt, a crazy goal off the Argentine defender's face, and a last-second shot from Cole saw Australia almost take down Messi and co. A wild match that I won't ever forget, easy S tier for this one. France 3, Poland 1, a dominant performance from a French side who weren't really pressed throughout the match. We saw what may potentially be Robert Lewandowski's last ever World Cup match as his squad were on the wrong side of history. B tier for this match. England 3, Senegal 0, another dominant performance from England as the Three Lions continue their momentum as they stamp their ticket into the quarterfinals. Fun game to watch, B tier for this one. Japan 1, Croatia 1, Croatia wins 3-1 on penalties. A pretty stale match between two sides who were waiting for the game to go to penalties, which saw Japan miss 3 of their 4 shots from the spot. Not much I remember from this game, so C tier for this one. Brazil 4, South Korea 1, a match that had been decided before it even begun. Brazil took care of business and sent home a South Korean side that had captured our hearts throughout the tournament. We still got a 5-goal game though, so B tier for this one. Morocco 0, Spain 0, Morocco wins 3-0 on penalties. The definition of a stalemate in which Spain was the better team in absolutely every regard. However, they weren't able to get the job done, and ultimately, after 120 minutes, it was the Atlas Lions who took care of business and sent home the Spaniards. A thrilling game to watch regardless of the scoreline, B tier for this one. Portugal 6, Switzerland 1, arguably the most controversial match in Cristiano Ronaldo's career as he started from the bench, while his replacement, Gonçalo Ramos, scored a hat-trick in 67 minutes, including one of the goals of the tournament. Switzerland never stood a chance, and we fans got a 7-goal offensive masterclass. S tier for this one. Quarterfinals time. Croatia 1, Brazil 1, Croatia wins 4-2 on penalties. A super close match in which Brazil could not crack through the Croatian defense no matter how hard they tried. 2 goals in extra time were not enough to separate the two sides, and a penalty shootout saw Croatia convert all 4 shots, while Brazil's Marquinhos missed one of the most important shots of his career. A crazy game to watch, B tier for this one. Netherlands 2, Argentina 2, Argentina wins 4-3 on penalties. A wild game that we all thought Argentina would comfortably win until the last minute of regular time, when the Dutch side executed a beautiful set piece to send the game to extra time. 30 minutes of nail-biting action was not enough to separate the two teams, and ultimately Virgil van Dijk's miss and Lautaro Martinez's final penalty was enough to send Argentina through to the quarterfinals. What a match, S tier for this one. Morocco 1, Portugal 0, another match, another Ronaldo benching. However, this match would not have such a lovely result. Despite Portugal's stranglehold on possession, it was Morocco's and Neziri's header that ended the match, as well as Ronaldo's dream of winning a World Cup. Not the greatest game I've ever seen, but the drama surrounding it is enough to put it into the B tier. England 1, France 2, a relatively exciting match between two heavyweights saw drama, action, and most importantly, goals. Goals from Tchouaméni and Giroud, both of which were spectacular, were enough to end the Three Lions' hopes of a World Cup since the 60s as France moved on to the semi-finals. A match I thoroughly enjoyed, A tier for this one. On to the semi-finals now. Argentina 3, Croatia 0. A match that I missed the first half of because I was writing a final exam, saw a Messi penalty and an Alvarez brace, including a wild run through the Croatian defense, as Messi and co advanced to the World Cup final for the first time since 2014. Messi's redemption tour was almost complete, and only one more opponent stood in their way. A tier for this match. France 2, Morocco 0, a match that had the whole world cheering for the Cinderella story Moroccan side did not disappoint. However, an early goal from Hernandez and a late goal from Kolo Muani was enough to send France to the final, and Morocco to the third place match. A wild run from the Atlas Lions that will never be forgotten, B tier for this match. Third place match, Croatia 2, Morocco 1, a third place match between two teams that met each other in the group stages. A fun game between two teams who captured our hearts in the tournament ended with Croatia taking third place thanks to goals from Gvardiol and Orsic, while Morocco captured the hearts of soccer fans worldwide. Great game between two great teams, B tier for this one. On to the World Cup final, Argentina versus France, Messi's last shot at winning a World Cup and Argentina's first since 1986. France's shot at winning back-to-back World Cups for the first time since Brazil in the 1958 and 1962 editions of the tournament. So many storylines around this game, so many outcomes, so many legacies on the line. The World Cup final was set. World Cup final, Argentina 3, France 3, Argentina wins 4-2 on penalties. I've never been so excited to watch a soccer game, and I don't think I will ever watch one like this ever again. I was running on 2 hours of sleep while watching this game, and I don't think I've ever been so awake watching a match before. Messi opens the scoring with a 23rd minute penalty, and a great team goal capped off by a Di Maria goal in the 36th minute puts Argentina in the driver's seat going into halftime. It's smooth sailing for the Argentines until the 80th minute when wonderkid Mbappe scores 2 goals in 2 minutes to tie the match. The entire world is on the edge of their seats now. The game goes to extra time and a 108th minute chance by Messi is converted. We all think it's said and done until a 118th minute penalty is scored by none other than Kylian Mbappe. The whole world is set for penalties, but before we get there, a slip on defense by Argentina leads to a clear path for Randall Kolo Muani to shoot or pass to a wide open Mbappe to seal the game and the World Cup for France. Luckily, Argentina's Emi Martinez makes the most important save in World Cup history, and half the world is safe from eternal heartbreak. The game goes to penalties where 2 crucial misses from Coman and Tchouaméni set up Gonzalo Montiel to take the final penalty. He converts it calm and coolly, and Argentina win the 2022 FIFA World Cup. Messi finally gets his trophy that he so eternally dreamed of, and Argentina get their 3rd World Cup. A game I will never forget, nor will the 1.5 billion viewers watching around the world. Game of the tournament, and what a game it was. And there you have it, we've ranked all 64 games from the 2022 FIFA World Cup. This is easily my largest project yet, but also my most passionate. I loved making this video, and if you did too, let me know in the comments below. 2026 is only a few years away, and I can't wait for it to be hosted in my own backyard. Let me know what you think down below, and I'll catch you next time.